Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Well, it is Sunday evening. Happy Easter to everybody, all Christians everywhere around the world. The Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere, the East, the West, and everywhere in between. Happy Easter, folks. You know what it's all about. It is about the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, who was visited by a bunny rabbit with colorful eggs. I don't know how we got from one to the other, but hey, here we are. I know one is more of a secular thing for children. A little hard to explain, someone getting crucified is a good thing. In any event, here we are. I think America is suffering not the crucifixion, folks, but a slow and painful descent into stupidity. In any event, we are here. It is the Sunday Night Live special Easter edition of The Zoo. And if you've got something to say, you want everyone to hear it. You've got a question, comment, prediction, a thought, an observation, a historical review, you let us know. Of special note, right off the bat today, we've got 3 $50 plus super chats. One from Michael Brown. Michael, get your question into the comment section. Oliver will be taking a look for it. We also have Chin Music, and we have Darcy T checking in. All three of them, thank you very much for the generosity that you guys always show. Making sure this program, this show, this prepping, this patriotic message, or rather all the messages, gets out on, well, let's see, YouTube, thepreparedmind.club, subscribestar.com, X, which is also known as Twitter, and Facebook and Rumble and Patreon, and who knows what else is going on out there. Thank you to one, thank you to all. And we'll start with Darcy T. She always does a $50 super chat donation, and we're going to get all lubed up here, I'm telling you. Oh, and a $50 super chat always buys a single malt scotch. Thank you, Darcy T. Oh, yeah. I tell you, Easter. Darcy says, no question tonight, just a happy Easter to everyone. Thank you, Darcy. Salute and hat tip to you. Once again, your generosity keeps the lights on, the spam, the tuna fish in the pantry, along with everything else that needs to be prepped for, and helps keep the show going. And I think what we're going to do next is we're going to pour one off here from my homie Chin Music. And he has a rant that he has forewarned me about, and Uman has it, and he's going to be putting it up on the screen. This is from Chin Music. Also, Chin Music did a $52.43 super chat. Thank you, sir. Bottoms up. We're going to get this started. Going to lubricate the old mental gears, and here we go. Oh, mother's milk. And by the way, I tied on a serious pre-Easter Saturday night. Probably had too much to drink. Anyways, recovering slowly. Ooh, man, let's see what Chin Music wants to talk about. I'm sure it has some very, very very important segues into the world of prepping and current events. He says, I had a back and forth on social media with a guy supposedly on our side. A friend asked everyone to rate the first 100 days. All I said was no arrests. A dude on our side said, it takes time. To which I responded, I remember Space and Bill Clinton. I remember James Comey admitting Hillary broke the law. I remember Fast and Furious, Benghazi, and Obama shitting all over the Constitution. I remember fuck Joe Biden admitting on stage at the Council on Foreign Relations in 2017 to a bribe of $1 billion. And that $1 billion went to Ukrainian business government functions, but only if they quit investigating Hunter Biden. Back to Chin Music. He says, I remember the Biden administration lying about our border and committing treason. I agree with those sentiments. All our guys have done is send strongly worded letters and then zero, nada, meaning nothing else. No arrests. Just a couple of harsh letters. Please give me one example of Republicans going after a high-profile Democrat for known crimes. Just give me one example, and I might have some faith when you ask or say it takes time. His answer, this is the guy Chin Music was talking to on social media, having a little back and forth, a little Q&A. His answer, he called me childish, to which I answered, quote, me, childish? All I did was ask for evidence. Thank you, Jolene. Jolene's here also, by the way. All I did was ask for evidence. And you started calling me names like a purple-haired leftist with a face full of jewelry. Reread what I wrote, grow up and answer the fucking question, or locate the unfriend button and kiss my ass. That is textbook Chin Music right there, folks. And I'm sure for many of you, that's textbook your thinking as well. It is. Guess who got more approval in this exchange back and forth? I'm going to guess you, Chin Music. I'm going to guess you. So guess who got more approval? Is that the end of the rant? Bam. I'm going to say you got more approval on this. You can put it in the comments, see if I'm right. Because I peruse social media. And anywhere Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, or Dan Bongino is making a tweet on X, I go right to the fucking comments. And it is anywhere from 4 out of 5 up to 9 out of 10 comments are critical and excoriating in some cases against them for not making any arrests, for lying to us, and if it isn't lying, they haven't taken the time or had the fucking courtesy to Americans that they made a claim. They made a claim. They said, we will make arrests day one. We will go after the bad guys. We will release the Epstein list, right? They made claims, they made promises, and they made excuses, and then they've been silent. So, thank you, Mr. Chin Music. And let me tell you guys this thing called QAnon. QAnon has a tie into what Chin Music just brought up about someone who is supposedly a friend in social media, someone who's supposed to be on our side. There's an issue with them and QAnon, and I'm going to bring it up, and it's not going to be pretty. But first, I want to say, share the internet address. If you're on YouTube, you can hit the share button below, or just share the URL. If you're on X Twitter, hit the repost button, hit the thumbs up or the heart button, and also share it with a friend. This is how we spread the word. You don't have to call anyone on the phone, but you may. But share it. Text, write, call, email, message, share button, and get it out there. People need to wake up, smell the frickin' coffee, check the time, see what's going on in the world, and they better get ready because it's going to get nasty. Now, this is what I was saying about QAnon and people pretending to be Republicans, people pretending to be conservative, people pretending, beep, 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 people pretending to be patriots. Is QAnon has a very, 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 very close connection to Israel. Israel, of all nations, has a massive, folks, electronic army of social media miscreants. And it certainly appears that everything in QAnon benefits Israel, that it comes from Israel, that it is a LARP, live action role play, psyop, psychological operation designed to confuse, to stall, to interrupt, to misdirect. And that is precisely what the CIA, MI6, Mossad, Interpol, and other government operations do. They get out there and they pretend to be conservatives or patriots. And then they put in doubt. And they put in, we'll just wait and hold off. Be patient. It takes time. Yet, as Chin pointed out, we know all the crimes. And when the Democrats have authority, they don't even need a fucking crime. They just start making arrests. They start making blanket accusations. Parents are domestic terrorists. Because parents said, we don't want transgender, drag queen, butt pirate fruitcakes in our schools, teaching our children, corrupting their minds, and destroying their bodies. Oh, you're terrorists. Just like that, folks. QAnon is QAnonsense. They're Q-tards. But they're really, folks, they are a psychological operation being conducted by one, quite possibly multiple intelligence operations around the world. I think it's primarily being run out of Israel by Mossad. And Mossad, if I can remind you, was run by the father of none other than Jizzy Maxwell. Jizzy Maxwell was Jeffrey Epstein's partner. And if you keep listening to high-level Israeli politicians and high-level politically connected Talmudic rabbis, they will admit, or at least make the claim openly, that they own and control American politicians and have done so for over 60 years. That they have been buying them. And once they're bought, honeypotted, Epsteined, or drugged up, they are now owned and will do the bidding of their masters. And this has been openly admitted to by Israeli politicians, Mossad, and it's just an ugly, ugly situation. It has to be remedied. It has to be remedied. So I have a funny feeling that is exactly who Chin Music was dealing with. That is exactly who's on social media, trying to tell us to be patient. It takes time. And as Chin pointed out, we can follow the criminal activity going all the way back to Airspace and Clinton's, who sold technology to the Chinese, and then ever since then, they can now launch into space, both space vehicles and intercontinental ballistic missiles, which they couldn't do before. And now they can. And now they have upper atmosphere satellite type observation and surveillance, not to mention the ability to deliver nuclear weapons to our country, but not with a bow and not in an Easter basket, right? It's the kind of present that will burn your shadow onto a wall and turn your hair a bright, crispy orange. And if you're lucky enough to live, you won't feel that lucky. In any event, folks, it is Sunday Night Live. If you've got something to say, we got a super chat button up there. And in the comments section, or rather the video description, we have CashApp, Venmo, and PayPal. Great ways to support the channel and get your comments right up here on board. Once again, thank you, Darcy T. Thank you, Chin Music. And we're waiting, of course, for Michael Brown to come up and hit it. He's usually out there taking care of business. In any event, folks, spring is upon us. It's going to get hot. At the very least, it's warm. And you can expect a shit pile of extracurricular activity is going to be happening. A lot of extracurricular activity is going to be happening very soon. Very, very soon. Now, when I say extracurricular activity, you're going to find out exactly what I mean. It's kind of like the Summer of Love, where they had all-night festivals of fireworks and bonfires, except the fireworks were shot at cops and civilians, and the bonfires were literally done out of people's homes, cars, and businesses, as well as courthouses and police stations. All right, Jolene. Ooh, man, let's do some super chats. Who's up next? We've got Nancy Keg with a $20 Easter super chat. And thank you, little sister. She says, just wanted to pop in to say happy Easter to the Prepared Mind family today. Nancy is another great supporter. She's here every week and also all week long. If you are a member of a Subscribe Star or X or the preparedmind.club, you can be with us live all week long. I've instructed Jolene to release videos sooner and quicker for everyone. Get them past the social media roadblocks. I think we found a shortcut to get them released to the public quicker. But live is always great. Nancy, thank you so much. Happy Easter to you and the family, all kith and kin alike. Woo! What a day. Ooh, man, who's up next? And we've got Chin Music. And he says, John, when the comment section got done with that dude, he needed a beer to put the flames out. He probably needed some Lanacane for his ass because he probably got torched pretty good, too. That's good. And see, that my belief and my feeling is Americans, like you and me, folks, all of us, who know the crimes have been committed. We feel the effects of it. We see it with the illegals. We see it with BLM. We see it with the pro-Palestinian Hamas, Hezbollah terrorist bullshit. We see it. We see the damage inflicted on our country with all of these Islamic city sites popping up, where they're just building their own mosque, super mosques, and building and doing whatever the fuck they want. And local politicians turning a blind eye. We're seeing it and feeling it. We know the crimes are happening. The open border, the abuse, psychological abuse of children. We know the crimes are there. The evidence exists. And we keep hearing about the FBI having files on this and files on that. And when they want to arrest somebody, who do they arrest? Anybody and everybody that suits their purposes. For example, Master Sergeant Brown in Florida. Green Beret, war veteran, combat veteran, ran for Congress. The FBI knew about his patriotic proclivities. And what did they do? They showed up at his door, knocked. Hey, who could it be? Oh, it's the FBI at my door. What can I do for you guys? Oh, you want me to rat out Americans? You want me to work for you? Huh, FBI? You want me to be an agent provocateur? You want me to shit on Americans? You want me to shit on the things I believe? Oh, I get it. And, well, Master Sergeant Brown told them no. And so they left. And then he released to the public the video and audio that he had acquired through this meeting. And he was one of the first people arrested after January 6th. Because everyone who was there was somehow magically an insurrectionist and a terrorist. Even though the only people who had guns that day were agents provocateur working for the FBI and the police. They had lots of guns. But you can't have an insurrection or a coup d'etat or a rebellion without guns. Yet somehow we're magically supposed to believe that that's exactly what happened. In any event, Chin, I'm glad that you fucking roasted that dude. And Americans know. We've seen the evidence. We want the arrests. It is so simple. Everything's right there. All you have to do now is you go knock on the doors, FBI. Hello, criminal. Hillary Bill, come out. Hello. Hello, Barack Michelle, come on out. Susan Rice, Eric Holder, James Comey, come on out. Chuck Schumer, Janet Yellen, Obama. Where are you hiding Joe Biden and the family? Send them out too, right? It's so simple. Epstein list, page 1, John Roberts. Who else is on that list? Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey, P. Diddy, maybe, I don't know. Jimmy Kimmel. They've got the list. They have the fucking list. All right, let's do another super chat. Mr. Ooman, what do we got rolling next? Who is up in it? Hey, it's Cottage Farm checking in on an Easter Sunday Night Live. And she's doing a $50 super chat donation. And here's to you, Cottage Farm. I hope all is well on the West Coast. Oh. Did way too much manual labor this weekend. That was my penance. Here's to you, Cottage Farm. Thank you to all of you who support this channel. Like, share, subscribe, and contribute in the comment section. Thank you, Cottage Farm. Wow. She says, I absolutely love the thumbnail used for today's live. I sent it to my sons. That was a John artificial intelligence AI creation. I was like, give me an Easter bunny from the United States Marine Corps. That's what it came up with. I was like, sold. I'll take it. So Cottage Farm says, imagine all these CIA, FBI, Mossad, etc., laughing their arses off at us that fell for their patriotic crap. No more for me. I hate everyone now. Black-pilled, doomsdayer. Just kidding, I'm fine. Oh, man. I sat down back when I was doing prepper coach. People, if they wanted to just sit down and have a prepper coach session with me and shoot the shit and talk prepping and their situation and their family and, et cetera, et cetera. I met with Cottage Farm on one of those. It was great getting to know you people that way. It was really cool. Really, really cool to sit down with Cottage Farm. And you guys are all so normal. Isn't that incredible to be normal? Every day I meet people who are decent enough, but they're not preppers. I meet this hardcore make America great again Trumpers. Cool. I meet blue dog Republicans. You know, they're old country club Republicans, and they just want to be left alone and pay low taxes, but they don't really care about all this shit we talk about. They have no idea what prepping is, right? I meet those people. I meet all kinds, but you guys that I meet through the Prepared Mind are salt of the earth type people with really big hearts, and I thank you for it. It really makes me happy. But yeah, I imagine, Cottage Farm, you are 100% right that the intelligence services, and I include Interpol in this as well. I include Interpol, which is the European intelligence. They're kind of like a combination of FBI, CIA, because they do operate internationally, which is what the CIA does, but they also stay within their continent typically. But yeah, Interpol, folks, Mossad, CIA, FBI, MI6 is English CIA. And yeah, this QAnon sense, it distracted us. What did they say before? Oh, trust the plan. Trust the plan. Oh, look at this. It's all being handled perfectly. Trust the plan. You don't have to do anything. Just sit back. Don't make any phone calls. Don't write anyone. Don't do anything. Don't go to a protest. Hell, you don't even have to vote. They practically fucking said that. Everything is handled well in hand. All they did was get people to sit back and do nothing. And that's when we developed the R Syndicate, because we sniffed it out long before the 2020 elections, long before. And a lot of you guys here were the same way. But with respect to your comment, rather your sardonic humor about hating everyone, if you're not an American or a freedom-minded ally, Canada, Australia, Mexico, England, Scotland, Ireland, on the continent over there, Denmark, France, Spain, Germany, Italy. If you're not freedom-minded and freedom first, then yeah, I have no love for you. I have no love for you. But am I a doomsdayer? Nope. Nope. I just know we have our fucking work cut out for us. We have our work cut out for us. Let us continue. Cottage Farm, thank you for the great super chat. That was a good one. That was absolutely awesome. Now, where do we go from here? Let's do it, Mr. Uman. Who's up next? It is Sunday. It's Sunday night. It is Easter night, and it's Chin Music back again. $4.99 super chat donation. She says, I have this. This is a little bit of prophetic speak here. He says, I have this sinking feeling we will look back at this period and lament that we had our shot. God, I hope I'm wrong. Won't be our fault. Well, I spent a good portion of the weekend, Chin, discussing with some others how they were able to pull off the organizational effort to get the Revolutionary War started in 1776, because it started long before that. The patriotic message of freedom, liberty, and I don't know, how about the pursuit of happiness? Our rights. They come from God, not government. The instructional and educational discussions were held in church, in pubs, in lodge, in family gatherings, in town meetings. People started talking about freedom and liberty. And those that were interested in opposing tyranny, opposing destructive, evil government, they decided they were going to meet separate. And they could meet secretly. They could go to someone's barn or house. You go to a pub or a lodge, even churches. Churches and pastors in churches were extremely active in recruiting, organizing, educating, and taking action. But today, smartphone. What would the smartphone do, right? It'd snitch you off where you're at, what you say, who you're communicating with. Essentially, let me put it this way. How do we get past that today? Well, you meet someone and you say, hey, look, we're going to meet Saturday over at Fred's house. And what you need to do is leave your phone at home. Phone stays at home. All smart devices stay at home. And then we're going to talk. And yes, you may be patted down because we don't trust anybody. Right? Trust, maybe, but verify. And even still, you will have traitors. Remember that man, Benedict Arnold, considered to be the greatest example of a traitor in American history. You know what made it so worse, so bad, so awful? Is that he was one of the greatest heroes of the early revolutionary period in America. He pulled off some stunts. He kicked some ass. He whooped some English butt. And in the end, well, he switched sides. He was fucking Quisling. He was a traitor, a double agent screwing us over. So we're going to have that no matter what we do, no matter who we think we know and how well we think we know them. So I'm going to go back to your comment here, Chin Music. I have a sinking feeling we're going to look at this period and lament. Well, it is very difficult for us to organize and take action because taking any action is considered insurrection or treason. And right now, the people that we elected are in authority. They're in power. And they won't do anything. They won't stop the Islamification of the country. Right? They're cutting and shutting down diversity, equity, inclusion. They're shutting down the LGBTQIAP pedophile shit. Oh, they're shutting it down, thankfully. But they're not making arrests of the pedophiles. They're not exposing our international enemies as to who they are and what it is they're doing to us. Yeah, we know Trump is fighting with Ukraine. We know Trump is fighting with China. We know Trump is fighting with Mexico and Canada, trying to get them to straighten up their economic policies. But which of these countries is actively in bed trying to ruin us, destroy us, subvert us? I already explained to you how high-level Israeli politicians have, and they have done this for decades, explain how they control our government through AIPAC, the America-Israel Political Action Committee, AIPAC. They don't like it, folks. They don't like us exposing them. They don't like us talking about them. They will, right, turn around and arrest us. In fact, within the government itself, we have people who are continuously turning out to be absolute scumbags. You would think that they would love America, and they don't. But get this, folks. The people that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has kicked the fuck out, fired. Now, they've been suspended. They should be arrested. But they've been suspended because of the leak probe, right? The leak investigation. So these people that have been fired have decided they're going to start talking some shit. And this is what they say. Unnamed Pentagon officials have slandered our character with baseless attacks. Baseless attacks. That is the same word fat ass Letitia the New York Attorney General has used, claiming that everything she's done is baseless. Right. We'll get into Letitia James a little more later. For now, the people that Pete fired claim that they're baseless attacks. They say they were never told what they were accused of. When you arrest a murderer, do you have to explain to them exactly what they did? Or can you just say, you're under arrest for murder? I don't need to give you more details than that. Right? But at this level, to leak actual intelligence out, to shit on your boss, to be fired at that level and in those positions is absolutely dishonorable. They don't deserve an explanation. I mean, this is a question I ask, does a leaking, traitorous set of scoundrels deserve or warrant a full explanation? No. No, they should be arrested, fired, and arrested and charged with crimes. But they've just been suspended. They should go work for Soros, go work for Obama directly, because they are a bunch of a-holes. Just an absolute bunch of a-holes. And I can't stand them, folks. I really can't. I can't stand them. All right. I think we've got something from you guys out there. We're at 300 people live on Easter Sunday, and it would make sense because the demographics of this channel is a huge percentage. I think 90% of the entire viewing audience is age 45 to 65. Literally 10 years younger than me, 10 years older than me. So that's the band we're operating in. Let's just call it Gen X. All right, Crunch a Bunch of Candy is in the house. Oh, you disrespectful Crunch a Bunch of dude. He says, hey, say my name. Where's Ham Ass? There he is. It's Ham Ass. Well, how are things going for you over there in Gaza? Well, they ain't so good these days. Yeah, you guys caused a lot of trouble for Israel and gave them all that they needed to go after you and level everything. You can say that again. Okay, Hamas, you gave Israel everything they needed as an excuse to completely level, absolutely level everyone and everything by recruiting children and putting guns on them. Honestly, yeah, that's right. You did. You absolutely did. You better shake your head. Yes, yeah. You gave guns to children, put bombs on them, strapped suicide vests to them, march them in parades, and laud them as heroes. They're not heroes. No. A lot of them are dead now because of what you did. And women, too. Women have been brought into this destroy everything, kill everyone. No. Women, too, yes. Everybody. So who is Israel supposed to know as the good guys and the bad guys? Yeah, you don't know, do you? No, I don't. No. And so now we have just an awful situation. It's completely awful. People are screaming genocide. People are screaming murder. And you guys are fucking terrorists. Yes, you're terrorists. Don't say it. All right, Crunch a Bunch of. I hope you got your money's worth on that one, man. All right. And Crunch a Bunch of Candy. Check out his website. He has delicious SHTF snackies there, or anytime snacks. Tasty candies. Crunch a Bunch of Candy. All right, Mr. Ooman, I think we've got some more, do we? Say it ain't so. Hey, we got Michael Brown. There it is. Michael Brown did a $55.56 super chat through CashApp. And here's to you, brother, and thank you, my man, for this delicious, tasty scotch. Keep me mentally lubricated as we go tonight. And I want to say a special happy Easter to you and the family, Michael. Semper Fi, brother. Bam! He says, John, in my opinion, we have to buy back our country. That is interesting. That is interesting. The key word is buy. Let's continue. We allowed foreigners to buy our corporations. Everybody wants to retire, but elite run the world until they die, then pass the ball to their kids. Yeah, very much so. It's kind of a multi-generational program with corporations, in politics, even in the secret services or intelligence agencies. It is not just anyone who signs up gets to be the next senator or president or CEO. You are absolutely correct, Michael. I like this concept. I like this concept of buying back our country. I don't know how to go about doing it, but let's just say I was president and I knew half of Congress. I knew 3/4 of Congress. I knew 9 out of 10 members of both the Senate and the House of Representatives were bought and paid off by foreign countries, foreign intelligence services, or foreign corporations. Also, they're being controlled with pedophilia or just your standard prostitute honeypots. So how do you get them back on America's side? You have to buy them back or buy them off or buy them out. And I don't know if that's something we can do in a month or a year or 2 years or just every election cycle. But perhaps, Michael, your thought, your concept is already being executed by Trump. Now, this is not a cop-out. This is not this is not an excuse. But if you will, set aside our demands to arrest these motherfuckers right now. What have we seen over the years? Going back the last 8 years, we've seen senators and congressmen retiring, saying, I'm not going to run again for whatever reason. And they don't have to give a reason. They just say, I'm resigning. I'm not going to run for re-election. So here, Michael, we have to buy back our country. Yes, sir. What a fucking grand idea you have. So, Trump, through some intelligent, trusted person working for him, sets up meetings with these congressmen. And they say, we show, and we've investigated with the Department of Government Efficiency, that you have been taking money from China, or you have been taking money from Ukraine, or you have been taking money from Israel, and you took $100,000. You took $500,000. You took $10 million. Holy shit, no wonder you're bought. What we're going to do is we're going to, as the government, pay back Ukraine. We're going to pay back England. We're going to pay back Israel. We're going to pay back Corporation X, Corporation Y, Corporation Z. We're going to pay China everything you've been paid and give them their money back. See what I'm saying here? So that they no longer are owed anything. Do you think you can handle that and actually be a fucking American for once? And if they've got them on pedophilia, or they've got them on prostitution or drugs, of course, that complicates things, doesn't it? They can't, because they can be outed. Can America go to Israel, England, Ukraine, Russia, China, Japan, Australia, England? It doesn't matter, folks, anywhere. And tell those countries, here is your $1 million you paid Congressman Smith. And if you decide you're going to speak up and expose him or her, the family, try and do anything harmful to that person, there will be a consequence that doesn't show up on the news. But it'll be an eye for an eye, since that's basically what you fuckheads understand. If you want to go and do a covert war, we're going to do it. But you're going to leave our congressmen and our senators alone, and you're done. Now, Michael, to me, that's a fantasy. To believe that it is happening and that's what they're doing. But I actually see in your comment that that could work. Either that or we pay back all of these entities, countries, secret services or intelligence agencies, corporations, etc., pay them back. And then that congressman steps down. That senator steps down. Done. Like that. But the way things work now, the elite run the world and they pass shit on to their kids. Kind of like George Soros is passing things on to Alex Soros. Correct? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. You know, these absolute scumbags are fucking scumbags. And they play to keep. And probably the most committed and the most, I don't want to use the word desperate, but I'm going to use the word, well, I guess we're going to have to use committed, is the nation of Israel. They have had a long-standing control of this country. And the other one is England. England, folks, pulls the strings. If you want to find out more about England and how they control our government, then what you need to do is get a hold of Tom Luongo. T-O-M, Tom Luongo, L-U-O-N-G-O. Tom Luongo has a hard-on for exposing England. And I'm going to continue on X to retweet anytime an Englishman, a Ukrainian, Chinese, Israeli, doesn't matter, anyone out there who admits or at least makes the claim that they own American politicians. I'll put them on in their words. I'm not going to say, I just read something. No. I'll put their video on with them claiming, making their claims that they control our country. So that it's not me saying it, it's them. In any event, Michael, the scotch is working, folks. Happy Easter. I like the idea of buying back our country by paying off the other countries and telling them, get the fuck out, we're done with you. You no longer own us. And then telling congressmen, senators, and bureaucrats, there it is, head sneech. Thank you, Uman, for putting up Tom. Luongo, L-U-O-N-G-O, a very bright individual with respect to geopolitics and intelligence stuff, and he's tied into a lot of other people that are very interesting. I like listening to, I think it's Colonel McGregor, and I'll listen to Scott Ritter. I'll listen to everybody out there who's got a claim, and I'll test it against what I know and see and actual facts as they develop to test veracity. In any event, thank you, Michael Brown, for the great contribution. And, man, do we have anyone else here in the super chat world? And holy cow, I'm going to do my Harry Carey. Holy cow. If anyone knows Harry Carey, wasn't he in Chicago, Uman? Yes, he was. The late, great Harry Carey in sports announcing. In fact, for the movie Major League, Bob Uecker basically played Harry Carey. In any event, another scotch, another $50 super chat, and Robin G, another great supporter of the show. Here's to you, Robin. Family, happy Easter to one, to all. Just so everyone remembers, Jesus turned a lot of water into wine, so alcohol is a good thing. Robin G says, John, do you know what we have become? We are the United States of excuses, which keeps us from doing the right thing. Financially, morally, politically, happy Easterly. This is another great and astute observation. And this is why I want everyone to share every video. because you guys out here make the greatest observations and comments, and just it's incredible. We are the United States of excuses. And by making an excuse, right, the call is we need to fix things. The excuse is financially I can't do it. I could lose my job. I could lose my job if I speak up. If I comment on social media. If I say something to coworkers or friends, they could make fun of me, or they could snitch on me. They could gang up on me. They could go to human resources. They could go to the boss, the owner of the company, and snitch on me, and I could be fired and be financially punished. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Well, that I think is why you should have a social media account that has an anonymous name, not Robin G, not Michael Brown, but you people that have your real name on here. Look, I don't put my real name on. I'm the Prepared Mind, because I don't need extra horse shit, because I go the extra mile to say every fucking thing that needs to be said. But most people, folks, and I put my face on here, most people, right, we have varying levels. But the fear financially is exactly as Robin says. We won't do anything because there's a financial penalty. Write your congressman. Call your congressmen and senators. Tell them what you think. Tell them what to do. Make demands. I mean, the shit I have said to Pam Bondi and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, if I received a message like that from me, I would have to have a fucking answer, because I would not sit back and be called every dirty name in the book and accused of being a coward and a chicken shit and a liar and everything else, right? They have dishonored themselves by not doing what they said, by lying to us and not explaining themselves. That is how dishonorable people act. And they are in positions of authority at the highest level. So they deserve the greatest excoriation. Go ahead, Dan, Pam, Cash, call my bosses and tell them to fire me. Try it. Fucking try it. Send your G-man down to the office. Do it. Tell them you want to talk to me. They could call anytime they want, folks. They could. They could show up at the prepared bunker anytime they want. Knock on the hatch. Bam, bam, bam. Hey, John, we need you to climb up the ladder. Come on out. They could, but they won't, because they're fucking cowards. They just are. Now, morally, people use, right, the moral excuse. Well, I've got family, so I can't say much. I'm afraid of offending my wife or my husband. I'm afraid my kids won't understand, or my parents won't understand. Or, even worse, I don't want to say anything, and at church, people will look at me weird. I want to be accepted. Right? So they make a moral excuse. They want to make a moral excuse. Right? Claiming it has a moral, painful thing. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I have had many members of my family, several, I don't use the word many, how about several, choose not to talk to me anymore. You know what I say? Fuck them. Every last one of them, because they're cowards, or they're imbeciles, or they're sellouts, or they're just plain fat ass fucking evil. But I do have other family members that I know are Democrats, and I just don't talk politics with them because I know where they stand. And that's fine. You want to be part of that? You want to support abortion, open borders, which includes murder, rape, kidnapping, drugs, extortion, assault, robbery, organized crime? You want to be a part of that? I don't know how you fucking justify it, but they do, folks. They do. And that's their moral dilemma. It is. Now, politically, the United States of excuses politically. Well, our government is the one who politically makes excuses. well, we've got to get along with our good friends on the other side of the aisle. So we're going to call them our good friends. And they're not your good friends. They're your fucking enemies. And they would have you hung by your fucking toes and fed to vultures if they had their way. And a lot of these Republicans, folks, are known rhinos. They're just Democrats claiming to be Republicans, or they're very secretive, sneaky, backstabbing, lying sacks of shit. And they'll make any cute excuse needed. Well, I couldn't vote for that patriotic bill because one of the sentences in there didn't have the comma in the right spot. So, in a matter of political discourse, I had to say no to that bill, which would have required people to vote with an identification card. It's like, that's your fucking excuse? Really? Yep. Anyways, Robin G. Points well taken. Woo! All right, let's do it. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but by the way, you guys have been taking all the time, but it is your show. It's Sunday Night Live, and it's an Easter Sunday, no less. Let's do it. Who's up next? And it's Diana Smith. And she says, been recently told that folks aren't where they need to be, go now or plan to shelter in. If you have a plan, prep now or keep prepping. There's not time enough to finish before shit hits the fan in a bad way. Now, Diana, we all hear things like this. I have heard this for years. Before I even started the channel back in December of 2013. Holy shit, some stuff's going to happen next week, John. Or they'll pick a date. July 4th, we're going to have another revolution. Get ready. Right? The thing is we don't ever really know. For sure, 100%. And get this. I did have contacts within the military. Had people who could get a hold of President Trump during his first administration. And they would give me information and tell me this thing is going to happen. And guess what? It didn't. Because there was a change of plans. Or diplomacy fixed things behind the scenes. Or somebody got arrested and it solved the problem before it became an SHTF fucking nightmare. How often does that happen? I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of sneaky shit that happens behind the scenes that the world doesn't know about. Well, maybe a few people do, and they let information sneak out. But the upshot on this is, if you've received information like that, take it for what it is. It's an understanding by people in the know, outside of the know, right? Both horizontally and vertically on the knowledge axis. And everyone's aware there's a very, very serious problem in the world. As a consequence, right? Everybody should be prepping and preparing. Don't stop. Have your plan, right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. That is consistent for all manner and form of SHTF. Right? Doesn't matter who's coming down the road, whether it's Antifa or BLM or pro-Hamas terrorists and Islamic Jihad Joes. It doesn't matter what group it is. They all need to be repelled by whatever means and manner necessary to affect and ensure your safety, your family's safety, your community's safety, and the general law and order and peaceable nature of our civilization. Burning, looting, and murdering in the name of Allah and Aloha snack bar, or peace, looting, and burning in the name of anti-whiteness, or burning, looting, and murdering in the name of communism. It's all burning, looting, and murdering. And we have a right to live freely, peaceably, without being molested. And I mean that in the most general sense. as well as the most specific sense, which is rape. We have a right to do those things. We have a right, not benefit, not privilege. We have a fucking right to life. Liberty, meaning freedom, and pursuing happiness, which is traveling, moving freely, getting food, living healthy, right? Having a job, a business, pursuing things that make you happy, provided you don't hurt others. You have a right to that. So therefore, if there is a bunch of bad characters coming your way, you have a right to defend and protect yourself. And the same with the government. If they're coming down the street demanding everyone lock down, get in your house, we have a curfew. No. They don't have rights. They have authority. And their authority only goes so far, and it's limited. It's capped by this thing called the Constitution. Article 1, Article 2, Article 3 set forth the restrictions, or rather the authority of the government and its branches. And the Bill of Rights restricts the government from doing anything prohibited or not specifically given to them they're prohibited from doing. It's called the 10th Amendment. So at some point, the government's going to get out of hand. They're going to pull a Kent State, start shooting people. You have a right and a duty, according to the Declaration of Independence, to put them in their fucking places, which may include planting them 6 feet under, or maybe just under a pile of rocks in a shallow grave. I'm not telling anyone to commit an act of violence or do anything unlawful. I'm telling everyone to behave lawfully. And I'm specifically telling the government to behave lawfully. Uman says things rarely happen until they want it to happen or are ready for it to happen. Now, there's one fancy word right in the middle. They. Who is they? Them, the government. Whether it's the deep state government or the legitimate government, whether it's a local, state, or federal government, or even an international non-government organization that has agencies and entities here to fuck with us. Nothing happens until they want it to happen. And I agree with you 100%, man. But as soon as they do, whether it's a very specific mission or a generalized scorched earth, fuck everyone, they're going to lose, so they may as well kill and burn and loot and murder and fuck everyone. You have a right to protect yourself. And you have a duty to overthrow tyranny. I'm going to continue to say that because it's right there in the Declaration of Independence. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ooh, man. And now, Jolene. Who's up? We got Jolene in the house. Count Chad the Impaler is here with a $5 super chat. And he says, I'm thinking war with Iran starting April 27th. Today's the 20th. The 27th will be next Sunday. Chad, Count Chad, has put a date, folks, because new moon, easier infiltration into Iran by special forces doing BDA. I expect my oil investment to double. Well, in the world of investment and money making, you can chase the bus and get on it and hope you're on the investment bus, whether it's oil or gold or Nvidia or Apple, or you name your stock or your sector. You can chase the bus, or you can know where the bus is at, where it's going, and get in front of it and get on it. Sounds like Count Chad the Impaler has an oil investment that he sees is going to go well. I love oil. I know it needs to be higher. It should be higher, but Trump is doing everything he can to make it lower. But all of this talk and discussion about war with Iran has not caused the price of oil to increase. It used to be that you could talk war with Iran and right? Oh, the Houthis, the retarded Houthis want to bomb ships. price of oil would go up. This I'm talking 20, 30, 40 years ago. Right now, fuck, we got war talk every other fucking day. Right? So investing in oil, if I was to invest in oil and I had money to invest, it would be with a company like Exxon Mobil that has the ability to pay dividends regardless of the price of oil. In any event, new moon, easier infiltration by special forces. It's possible, man. Interesting observation. I think that Trump will not let his hand be seen. Sometimes he'll say no and he means no, and other times he'll say no and he means yes and turns around. One of the things Trump is doing in the world of politics, geopolitics, the world of energy, meaning oil, coal, natural gas, nuclear, etc. He does rope-a-dope distractions. He wants to keep people off guard, off balance, and that's where we're at. He's doing that, and that's why the markets are basically suffering, because they don't know whether to shit or get off the pot. They don't know whether to run, sprint, or stand still. It is, my friends, one heck of a shit show. Anyways, this is where we're at. Anyways, thank you, Count Chad the Impaler. Okay, folks, we're almost to 400 people live on Sunday Night Live on an Easter. Super amazing. And now let's do a super chat. Thank you, Jolene, and thank you, Ba-da-dum-bum-bump, Fish Now with a $5 super chat donation. It says, John, isn't there some kind of airspace rule over the United States? It's so blatant every day in New York. Solid blue sky morning, plane by plane, make it white. You're talking about chemtrails. I have had terrific blue skies in Florida for the last 3 weeks. I think one day there was some suspicious haziness. But for the most part, the subject came up. The state of Florida started saying at the government level, no more chemtrails. It's experimenting with so-called weather, but they're also dropping heavy metals, toxic metals that are nanoparticles, as well as biological agents. So it's chemtrails. It's supposed to be about weather modification. But I think it's also designed to deliver toxic substances and biological substances into our world to affect us, our health, our strength, our memory, our minds, our mental function, which is why I'm doing like a quadruple detox on an everyday basis, trying to get this shit out of me. Now, the airspace rule, I think what you're talking about is, can another country fly over us and do this to us? The answer is no, they can't. They're not allowed to. But these companies, American companies with American pilots and American staff, are being paid millions and millions, if not billions, and I'm pretty sure it's billions of dollars, to poison our air and fuck up our skies. In Florida, it's also affected vegetation. It's affecting the ground, the fertility of the ground, by poisoning the plants as well. Sounds like a Bill Gates fucking program to me, and it pisses me off. I'm sorry that up in the state of New York, they're still gassing you guys. Gas, gas, gas. For all of our veterans out there who know that one. Yeah, it's really fucked up. But Florida has just been great, and it needs to stop. It really does. Now, I don't know what the ceiling height is for a country to be able to fly over and say, you don't own this airspace anymore. I don't know whether it's not 50,000 feet or 100,000 feet. I think the U-2 spy plane used to fly at 82 to 85,000 feet. And fucking Blackbird was an incredible piece of hardware. It could fly at an even higher altitude at hypersonic speeds. In any event, yeah, I think it's 100 miles is once you get to zero gravity. I think up there, that's where no longer is it the U.S. airspace or Chinese airspace. Anyway, you look at it, what they're doing in the sky above us, up in what they're calling low Earth orbit, the place where Katy Perry's float. Oh, man. I hope you've all had enough humor about that stupid shit. What a bunch of faked crap. All right, Fish Now, thank you very much for the great donation. I hope I answered your question. Yes, we're in a chemtrail war with those who want to poison us, pollute us, and destroy us. Let's have some more fun. I've got some topics that I think are very important, and I want to get to them. We're at 1 hour and 11 minutes, and we're having a great show, and it's thanks to you guys and your great support. If you've got something to say, get it into the comments section with your super chat donation. Or you got down below, we've got PayPal, CashApp, Venmo, POW. Good stuff out there coming from you guys, and I want it to keep coming. Okay, let's do this. Nancy Mace, who is a Republican, and she's in the United States House of Representatives. I think she should run against Senator Light in the Loafer Lindsey Graham and get him kicked out of the Senate, because I think he is a traitor to the country. But Nancy Mace has been fighting the fight for women and to protect women and young women from men in their bathrooms, their locker rooms, their sports, their scholarships, etc., their sororities. And by the way, while Trump has signed executive orders saying we're not going to give you government money at the federal level anymore if you allow men into women's sports and women's spaces. And several states have decided to ignore it. Several schools have decided to ignore it. We're at war with these fucking evil retards who are immoral bastards. In any event, Representative Nancy Mace ran into an, quote, unhinged lunatic in Daisy Dukes at a makeup store, folks, where they sell just makeup. I don't know which one it was. I can't remember. It was I don't buy makeup. I don't wear makeup. But there's a bunch of those makeup type stores. Anyway, she was harassed by a man wearing Daisy Dukes. What are Daisy Dukes? They're shorts that are cut way too fucking short, so your ass cheeks hang out like Daisy Duke from Dukes of Hazzard. So an unhinged lunatic in Daisy Dukes was at a makeup store, decided he was going to harass Representative Nancy Mace. Folks, that video is online. And Democrats, especially transgender fruitcakes, we all need to now consider them dangerous and a lethal threat. Dangerous and a lethal threat. They are no longer just a bunch of harmless fruitcakes who like to have fun at glory holes and the Blue Oyster Bar. We have a whole lot more than that going on. They are now a lethal threat to people. They truly are. I've got more for you. More for you right here on this lethal threat. A New York Police Department chief was bitten during a Democrat terrorist protest. Dude is a PD, a chief of police department, NYPD chief. He's actually filed a lawsuit. Who is this Democrat terrorist that I'm talking about? It is a New York City councilwoman. Not some street lunatic, not some no-name fuckstick from another country. It's a councilwoman, someone who's been elected, someone who's supposed to be intelligent, someone who's supposed to be representing the people in her district. This woman bit a fucking police chief. So he's suing her, and he should. There should be charges pressed against her for terrorism. And that, my friends, is why I say we all, every one of us, man, woman, old, young, black, white, doesn't matter. We all need to have eyes open and be very, very, very wary of these evil lunatics. It doesn't matter if they're women. They're dangerous. It doesn't matter if they're supposed to be elected representatives. It doesn't matter if they're wearing business suits. They're every bit as fucking dangerous, if not more. They are evil lunatics, folks. Evil fucking lunatics. I mean, get this. This is a good one. It's Easter Sunday. And Trump has absolutely rejected and said, not doing it, to the Trans Visibility Month. So on Easter, Trump says there is no Trans Visibility Month. By the way, Easter is about Christ, the risen Savior, not fags, fruits, and general mutilating mental miscreants. Take that one, fruitcakes. I'm glad Trump is doing his part to say no more of this crap. But when it comes to these really fucked up people out here, folks, they are dangerous. They are deadly. They truly are. In fact, a transgender lawmaker who happens to also be Brazilian, good joke there, this transgender with a Brazilian, transgender lawmaker, says Trump is has hatred and fixation, right? Trump has hatred and fixation? Why? Oh, because the U.S. visa for this Brazilian fruitcake is now detransitioned, turned her back into a male. Well, here's the deal. You either have a dick and you were born with it, or you have a vagina and you were born with it. Trump did not detransition anybody. He didn't turn her back into a him. He always was a him because he was born with a dick, right? Now, here's the deal, folks. You and I, we, us, our nation, especially the government, we are under no obligation to accept mental illness and delusion as a reality in our lives, in our world, right? Now, the consequences, though, because there's always a consequence, right? It's not just a financial, political, or moral consequence. There is a physical consequence that we all suffer. I know Robin G. talked about that. There is a physical consequence if you say and do what needs to be said and done. Number one, telling these fruitcakes, and I insult the shit out of them because I don't give a fuck. I don't. Why? You're the fruitcake. You're the one who is a problem and has a problem. I'm just pointing it out, right? I'm just the messenger. Hey, you're a fuck nut. Anyways, the first thing it starts with is insults. They will insult and attack verbally. And then the language becomes threatening. Phase 2 of fruitcakes gone wild in America. They turn from just yelling and screaming and saying you're a mean person to using threatening language, threatening violence, threatening great bodily harm and injury, threatening arson, personal property destruction. And then finally we turn to number 3 with these fruitcakes when they don't get their way, when they've been exposed and told, no, we're not going to participate in your delusion. They turn to murder and even mass murder. And I want to say to the Democrat Party, thank you. Thank you guys, because you did just a great job of completely winding up these lunatics, pretending like they're normal, and then accepting and allowing them to get away with all manner of crime, burning, looting, and yes, even murdering and mass murdering. I mean, think about it. All of these illegals that have come across the border, MS-13, a gang in which you have to kill a family member in order to be a fully accepted participant. You got to fucking kill someone to prove that you're worthy to be part of their gang. And it's a massive gang. They are murderers. And then, hell, once you're a murderer, fuck it. You're going to hell. You may as well take the express lane. You're going to run drugs, kidnap people, engage in prostitution, extortion, racketeering, whatever it takes. Democrats fly out of our country to other countries, trying to get those countries to let him drag that piece of shit or pieces of shit back. They want to stop Trump from sending people out of the country who are illegal aliens who have invaded our country and are committing acts of criminality that are off the hook. This is where we're at. We really are. Folks, and get this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to let Jolene says we've got a super chat out there. And I want to show you, though, as soon as we're done with the super chat, I'm going to come back and I'm going to blow your mind with some more stuff. This is one heck of a Sunday Night Live because it's on Easter. Shit is hit the fan. We want arrests. And our government is failing us and falling apart. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And it's our good friend Steve Demetrius with a $2 super chat donation. And he says, Happy Easter from us, the Prepared Mind family, to us. Yes, sir, Steve. Thank you very much for the great support ongoing. You are awesome, my friend. I hope you are safe. I hope you are well prepared. And I hope you're well aware of what's going on around you in your world as well as your nation. And that goes for not only Steve, but everybody. And now to the aforementioned, promised, mind-blowing, what the hell is going on? Here it is. The Supreme Court of the United States of America is in an internal struggle right now to operate legally, to operate with legality under the Constitution. They're in a struggle right now. The Supreme Court is in trouble. Justice Alito has issued a scathing smackdown bitch slap at the politically motivated Supreme Court order that was released after midnight on Friday, blocking President Trump from deporting foreign terrorists under actual legitimate legislation. He's not making shit up. The Alien Enemies Act allows the president to deal with foreign terrorists, foreign enemies. And the United States Supreme Court has interfered with that and blocked Trump from doing exactly what he's supposed to do, exactly as the statute has been written to protect our country. Now, Justice Alito has joined Clarence Thomas in upholding our United States of America, the Constitution for these United States, right? Justice Alito wrote, quote, literally in the middle of the night, the court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party within 8 hours of receiving application, with dubious factual support for its order, and without providing any explanation of its order. Now, who put this into the Supreme Court? The illegal aliens themselves. The illegal alien terrorists and enemies have petitioned the Supreme Court. Unfucking believable. And not only that, the Supreme Court rules within 8 hours of receiving said petition, granting it certiorari, without hearing an opposing opinion on the matter. And the judge, Justice Alito, says the facts supporting the facts claimed are dubious, meaning they're shit. And 7 out of 9 fucking justices said, yeah. Let's just say after midnight, when no one's looking, we're going to allow these scumbag foreign invaders to win against Trump and violate his authority to deal with alien enemies in proper presidential Article 2 authority. Unfucking believable, folks. I'm going to give you some more on this. You're going to love it. But first, I'm going to finish with Justice Alito's quotes. He says, I refuse to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was both necessary or appropriate. In other words, it is not necessary to release and did this after midnight. It's not appropriate for the Supreme Court to do that after fucking midnight. Justice Alito continues. Both the executive and the judiciary have an obligation to follow the law. He's stating a simple fact. The executive, meaning the president, must proceed under the terms of our order in Trump v. JGG 604 U.S. 2025 per curiam. That's just a bunch of jargon. And this court should follow established procedures. So here Alito is calling them out. They're not following procedures. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't appropriate. And the president has an obligation to follow the law, the Alien Enemies Act. Now, folks, here is where we get to my opinion. The Supreme Court of the United States is tearing itself apart. And I think that it may be dissolved. It may be suspended if it cannot resolve its role and return to operating in its role, its very limited role, under the Article 3 constitutional provisions and its authority. They're acting outside the scope of their authority, and they're acting outside of procedure. They're ignoring facts. They're not giving due process to anyone. They're completely ignoring the president's fucking authority and the fact that there's laws on the books for dealing with this. If the court cannot recall their oaths and remember them, we may have emergency action coming. And folks, whether you're for Trump, against Trump, believe in Trump, hate Trump, love Trump, it doesn't matter. The idea that the president could say, we have a national emergency, the Supreme Court is operating outside of its constitutional restrictions, and you don't need to be a judge to see that. That should frighten everyone. That we have judicial fiat. We have judicial, folks, judicial insurrection right now. This is a serious SHTF moment. But please remember also that during the American Revolution and before it, for years, the government of the king, the king's courts, his barristers, his magistrates, they made up laws, they made up evidence, they ignored laws, they ignored evidence. They made up facts, testimony. They lied. They ignored facts. They brought in false witnesses. They kept real witnesses away. They either did not have jury panels, and we just had star chamber proceedings where the judge determined both law, fact, and the case and prosecuted from the fucking bench. Right? That is what happens when courts get out of control. We now have SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, getting out of control. We have the appellate courts being a mixed bag, and we have individual low-life federal judges, especially in the District of Columbia, but all across the nation, acting outside the scope of their authority with no reference to the Constitution, but only their own political will. And that's at the federal level. We also have state level and local judges as well. If you think for a minute that any one of these motherfuckers gives a shit about you, your rights, or the Constitution, you got another thing coming. You're going to be sorely disappointed if you stand up in court and mention the word Constitution, because no judge wants to hear it. In fact, if you mention the Constitution, he may just tell you, you mention the Constitution again, and you're not going to like what I do to you next. That's the world we're living in, folks. These black-robed bitches and their little wooden fucking hammers being protected by block, steel doors, and bailiffs and other guards with guns. They are not your friends unless they understand the Constitution, agree with the Constitution, revere their oaths, and act in fidelity with us, our laws, and the Constitution. I tell you, folks, the Supreme Court has lost its fucking mind. It really has. You know, I've told you these fruitcakes are going nuts, right? Nancy Mace getting, right, run over. Our laws, we're all getting run over by these people. We're getting over, we're getting downtrodden. We're getting fucked by them. Now, they're fruitcakes. They're out there. Thank you, Jolene. Nancy Mace is fighting at that high level. Trump is fighting against the fruitcakes at the high level. At the state level, California, Illinois, New York, Arizona, the government is out of control. In Illinois, the government there is prioritizing men over women. The entire state. They're telling Trump and his executive orders, which is protect female rights in sports, they're ignoring it. Understand there's a negative consequence for the Democrats in this. Remember, that's why Democrat ratings are only 21%. Only 21% approval and dropping. The midterms are going to be a horror show for the Democrats. I know we're very worried about Pam and Cash and Dan Bongino doing their fucking job and pissing off Republican voters by not doing their job and making arrests, basically disappointing us so that we don't participate in the political system. That's why we have to demand they do their job and scream and yell at Trump to fucking fire them. At the same time, come election time, if we have voter protection in there to protect our votes from being negated by illegals, right? The Democrats are going to pay a high price for what they're doing. A high price. Right? This demand to have fruitcakes out there in girls' locker rooms and fruitcakes in our children's schools and classrooms is just unbelievable, but they're not giving up on it. The Democrats won't give up on it, and they're now paying a huge political price. The judges are fucking with us, and they're going to pay a huge price, right? This judicial insurrection that I've been covering with you guys, right? Covering the judicial insurrection by judicial terrorist enemies of our nation, right? It's going to continue until they are removed from office, right? This, another fucking Obama judge, some crooked ass piece of shit Obama judge, right, blocked Trump's plans to fire hundreds of employees at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That would be Elizabeth Warren's pet. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is a money laundering, political hack outfit. And they don't want it defunded, and they don't want people fired. And now a judge has ruled, no. We need to keep our political money laundering operations in business. We need American taxpayer dollars to continue to go. And they just put it in these, it sounds so benign and even benevolent. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That sounds like a good thing, except it's a big pile of shit. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you, it's amazing. All right, Jolene, do we have some comments from the crowd? Who do we have next? Hey, it's Doing Stuff with Nikki. Haven't heard from Nikki in quite some time on the show, even though quite frequently she sends me updates about what's going on in her world. And Nikki's down here in the great state of Florida as well. And so she says, Happy Easter. I know I'm late. Sorry. This donation is in remembrance of the testicles I just spanked on my bike on the way home. I think some of them were illegal. That'll teach them. Love you, John. Well, we love you too, Nikki. Thank you for that. And I hope you and the Dukester had some good fun times out there over on the, if I may say, the east coast of the state. Yeah, poor testicles. The United States of America was founded by renegades. Renegades. Right? Today, who are the big renegades in our country that are pro-America renegades, that aren't the Ku Klux Klan, they aren't the white supremacists, but they're renegades nonetheless. Right? Some of them go by the nickname or moniker or designation of outlaw biker. But I've seen outlaw bikers use their turn signals. I've seen them obey the speed limits. They're not really outlaw, but I think they're bikers who are renegades in the spiritual sense. Right? They don't like the abuse that government is doing. But like the rest of us, for whatever reason, they're not using force to make America free. Not yet. But I'm going to say this with a high degree of certainty, that there are groups in this country that when activated as patriotic freedom fighters, they will be very effective. And that includes, at the top of the list, veterans, but it also includes bikers. Bikers love America, and they hate fruitcakes and child molesters. They don't like these fucking illegals. And there's problems out there, folks, and it can be settled and fixed very quickly if you and I end up becoming, shall we just say, vigilante agents of freedom. I would like to see that in all truth at this point, because Pam Bondi won't do her fucking job, and Kash Patel won't do his fucking job, and Dan Bongino only runs his soup cooler until it's time to take action, and then he's absent. At some point, something has to give. We'll see how this works out, folks. We got trouble, right? Trouble's coming. We got trouble now and more coming. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And thank you, everybody, for the great support and sharing internet address. But now it's Northern Pike with a $10 super chat donation. He says, John, food, water, shelter means of self-defense, double med kits. What knowledge you have about and adding in a Belgian Malinois? Just a Belgian Malinois. Just picking your brain, sir. I don't have a whole lot to say about the Belgian Malinois. I just don't. That's a stumper right there, man. You got me, Northern Pike. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna instruct Jolene and Uman to accept another question from you that is in my wheelhouse. But yeah, food, water, shelter, means of self-defense, double, right? Medical kits, right? Medical kits, medicine, potassium iodide, antibiotics. Yep, but. No, nothing on the Belgian Malinois. I was a brewmaster, but I don't know if that has anything to do with a Belgian Malinois. Anyways, let us continue if we shall. Thank you very much, Northern Pike. I want you to get your super chat money's worth, man. I really do. I really do. Now, we're going to check out something here that I've been thinking about. And I know everyone knows about it. It has to do with Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. That's right. Right. As far as I'm concerned, the dad is part of the problem at this point. Now, Austin Metcalf's father wanted to show up at Carmelo Anthony's rally because he wanted to have a prayer. He's trying to make sure this doesn't get racist, right? I think that he is being ultimately overly apologetic. There's a huge problem here, right? Mr. Metcalf is insisting that race played no role in his son's death. And he has actually come out and condemning people that are protesting on his son's behalf, his deceased son, who was stabbed in the heart with, well, we were originally told it was a knife, and now we're being told, some of us are being told that it is a cleat spike sharpener. I guess in track you need to sharpen your cleats. No matter whether it's a knife or a cleat sharpener, to get stabbed and have it penetrate through your skin and go through or between your ribs and into your fucking heart and kill you, that is a weapon. It's not like he was sharpening his cleats and he accidentally plunged it deep into the chest of Austin Metcalf. Right. As far as I'm concerned, this whole incident is not about race. What it's about is personal responsibility for a crime. Now, if Carmelo Anthony has something out for white people, it doesn't matter to me. It's a crime to act on these thoughts. That's the crime, the action. And so he needs to be held responsible, right? Oh, he was being bullied. He was being talked down to. He didn't like being dissed. I don't give a fuck, right? I see people all the time have shouting matches, argue with each other. I see people fist fighting, right? But stabbing someone in the fucking heart, that is a murder with a murder weapon. So I think that this entire incident is about responsibility for a crime that's been committed and not using racist and race as hyperbole to make an excuse for committing these crimes. Carmelo Anthony stabbed someone in the fucking heart, and he should be held accountable for murder in the first degree. He was not fighting someone else who had a knife, as far as I know. You'd have heard that. He claims he was defending himself, but it's hard to believe, right? Or other people would come out and say, oh, yeah, he was getting his ass kicked, right? And he was getting ganged up on it. People thought he thought he was going to die, right? That to me sounds justified. But the way it has come out and what has been said so far is, right, he was stealing, which is a minor crime. He was occupying someone else's space. And in the world of tents, my friends, and campsites, did you know that your campsite, while temporarily occupied by you, is considered your home? And you have a right to defend yourself in your home, and you have a right to protect your property from thievery in your home, whether it's your home with a roof and walls and a garage, whether it's your home at a campsite or your tent. It is that from that point on designated as your property, albeit temporarily. So if he was told to stop stealing stuff and exit and leave, and he refused to, which caused an altercation, an argument, shit talking. Right? And you're going to tell me, let's just be honest, high school kids talking shit is very common. It's very common. So for Carmelo Anthony, a thug who appears in pictures holding a gun like he's a fucking gangsta and flipping off the camera like he's a gangsta, I don't buy it. He is, I'm sure, very capable of talking gangsta talk and talking shit and talking smack and engaging in bullying, if we want to do that. So the fact that he stabbed a dude in the fucking heart, literally, and killed him on the spot, yeah, he knew what he was doing, and he did it, and he needs to be responsible. Don't care if Carmelo's black or Asian or Native American. You don't fucking stab someone in the heart. But they're trying to make this into a racial issue, folks. They want to have a St. George Floyd moment in America. They want an excuse to start burning fucking buildings and businesses and homes and cars and police stations and coming after you. Are you ready for your... Thank you, Mr. Uman. Hold on to that thought. Are you ready for the next Kyle Rittenhouse moment in your life? And Uman says, Austin's father is a complete liberal piece of shit. Yes, he is, actually. He is. He's trying to make excuses. He's trying to divert attention from the actual matter at hand. I think the actual matter we need to consider is responsibility for one's actions and not excusing it away. Not trying to justify murder by claiming poor little Anthony Carmelo, the tough-ass thugster, right, is a good guy. And then this other part about engaging the black community and playing the victim card to raise money and enrich themselves. And also folks selling merchandise. Wow. Merchandise. Right now, I will say, I did my fuck around and find out Prepared Mind shirts with the silhouetted likeness of Kyle Rittenhouse. None of that money that was made off of that, which I don't think there really was any fucking money. Come to think of it. By the time you pay for the shirts and the fucking silk screening and the fucking paying to have them mailed and shipped around the planet. Yeah, anyways, it was kind of, none of that went to Kyle Rittenhouse. None of it went to Kyle's defense. I don't think it was supposed to or ever intended to. It was just a fucking thing to do at the time. But they're selling, Carmelo merch, trying to raise money, and the whole thing just stinks. It absolutely fucking stinks. And hopefully Austin's piece of shit liberal communist suckwad of a Democrat dad just fucking shuts up, because he's an embarrassment to fathers everywhere. If you want to pray for your son and pray for the murder victim or murderer because you've got a big heart and you're a Christian, great, do it on your own. But don't try shoving that shit down my fucking throat. As far as I'm concerned, Carmelo is a fucking murderer. It's not the same as Kyle Rittenhouse, who was being chased by 3 white guys. They had white skin. These idiots defending Carmelo are saying that Kyle Rittenhouse killed 3 black people. That's how fucking stupid these idiots are, folks, and how blind they are to all reality. Their vision is so tunnelized that they can only see the things they need to see so they can say and turn this into racism. Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 people. They were all white. They were all trying to kill him, threatening him verbally and physically, chasing him and beating him and pulling. One of them pulled out a fucking gun. And that's, I believe, the jackass who got his arm blown off by getting shot. Right mid bicep. Quite a mess. In any event, right? They're trying to do that. They're trying to say, well, Daniel Penny, he was defending, but yeah, he actually was. He was defending women and people incapable of defending themselves, and he didn't kill the man. And they tried turning that into a race incident. He was defending himself and others, but he didn't stab anyone in the fucking heart, right? In any event, folks, here we are. We're in that place again. The Democrats are trying to create racial division, divide and conquer. And this suits the enemies of America, who want to keep us in a state of constant anger, terror, and frustration. Literally. And folks, we know who the enemy really is. We do. Let me give you an example. How about the illegal alien who was arrested in Tennessee after he impregnated an 11-year-old girl? There is a huge difference between civilized humans and feral trash that can barely speak a language, and they operate with zero rational thought, except, and I'm going to credit Ted Nugent with this, their only thoughts are, what can I eat next? Who can I screw next? And can I run fast enough to get away? They are animals. They're truly animals. Now, Daniel Penny was commended by people on the train, including black people, for taking the feral, retarded, whacked out of his mind scumbag out. These people coming from other countries, Trens de Gaia, whatever the fuck that is, out of Venezuela, that gang, MS-13, out of Central America and Mexico, that gang, they are feral humans. These Pakistani, North African, Middle Eastern, bullshit Islamic dumbasses. I mean, I can't say enough bad things about these people because they hate freedom. They hate Christians. They hate anybody that opposes them, and they will fucking kill you the moment they get a chance. They have no regard for law, for our rights, for our beliefs, for our individual freedoms. None. And they even fucking state it in their speeches, in their broadcasts, in their propaganda. That is who we're dealing with. It is infuriating that these illegals and other people who choose not to accept civilization, civilized concepts, law and order, and our leaders in this fucking country, Democrats and Rhino Republicans, want to bring more of these people here. They want to bring back the ones Trump's kicked out. They want to give them sanctuary in their cities, in their states. Why hasn't Tom Homan arrested the mayor of Boston, the governor of California, the governor of fucking Illinois, the mayor of Chicago? Because it's a fucking game to these people. I don't think they're serious about their jobs. Or they've been bought. They've been bought. They've been compromised. Who knows? Hell, maybe Pam Bondi, maybe Kash Patel, maybe Dan Bongino are on the Epstein list, or a P. Diddy list, or a completely different sex, drugs, party list in Washington, D.C., and they've been absolutely compromised. And everyone is, shh, hush, hush, shh, shh, shh. Don't say nothing. We're all on the same team. What other reason is there for allowing these absolute filthy scumbags to remain in our country? To leave these politicians in places of power and bureaucrats? Just asking a question. I'm asking a fucking question. To make the point, folks, in an infuriating way, to prove the point, President Trump has released photos of a Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang member who has serious criminal records. He released that after the Supreme Court of the United States blocked the deportation of these types of fucking people. Photos of this guy with stacks of cash, American cash, drugs, weapons. Right? I'm infuriated by it. Trump proved the point. These fucking people are admitted gangsters. They're lawless scum. And guess what? They're just fucking fine with it. They're just fine with it in the Supreme Court. We're going to interfere with the president, assume his duties, stop him, and fuck us all over. It's the end of the show, folks. We got less than 4 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. I've got, there's so much to talk about. So much to talk about. People in charge, people in authority in this fucking country have no regard for the people who pay the fucking bills. Americans. For example, in California, a school board president told a student who was in front of the board sharing a story of traumatized activity for this person, this girl, because of a transgender invasion of the girls' locker room. You know what the school board president told the girl? Wrap it up. In other words, we're tired of hearing your shit. We don't want to hear about your opposition to transgender men going in the locker room with you and traumatizing the fuck out of you. Whether they're taking their dick out and wagging it in the girls' faces, going, I'm a girl, wagging their dick around, or whether they're standing there staring at girls who are trying to undress and get into sports outfits or PE clothing. Right. And the other part is these trans mentally deranged freaks have demonstrated they're violent and that they're rapists, that they are murderers also, folks, and that they are absolutely mentally demented. And by the way, Democrats, what happened to believe her? Remember that? Believe her. We have to believe all women. Well, that was when what's her face? Ford, Christine Blah Ford, accused Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh of, I think, either teabagging her or smacking her on the head with his dick. I don't know. Now women have to be silenced, and their thoughts, their experience doesn't count anymore. Absolutely doesn't count. And I tell you what, folks, what a wild fucking world. It's going to get nasty. Jolene, let me know that we've got someone in the crowd has something to say at the end here. Bump, ba-da-dum, bump, pow. Fish Now with a $5 super chat says, how many were deported by Obama and Clinton? How many what? Clinton and Obama cut government employees. They cut probationary. They cut some departments. No one said a fucking word. No one said a word in the Democrat or Republican Party about, hey, you can't fire people. Now, I believe Clinton and Obama also deported illegals and called for the deportation of illegals. How could Obama and Clinton back then do that, yet today they support it? Because back then, during the Obama administration and during the Clinton 90s, they didn't look at these illegals as new voters. They were so busy effectively lying to people and fooling them with propaganda that they got all the votes they needed, with their cheating, of course, as well. But now people have woken up. They're not buying the shit. They're not falling for the lies. As a consequence, they need these illegals here. Plus, they are now willing to destroy the nation. And the other day, on Friday, free for all, I played the video of the one fellow, the European fellow, who explained, and I can play that again if it was wanted. I saved that video of why they are doing what they're doing and how they are doing it to destroy the nation, destroy and quiet the people down who won't stand up and fight against them. We need to stand and shout loudly and take action. At some point, we're going to take action. Or, as Chin Music said, we're going to regret it in our future. Thank you very much, Fish Now. I appreciate that. Tomorrow, 0 Dark 30. Until then, sleep well, my friends. Happy Easter. God bless you all. Semper Fi. And I'll see you soon.